Well, hello and welcome. I'm Sue Britz.
And I'm Tina Lokkbakk. Welcome to this new episode of Retired.
The podcast where we talk about what life is like when we put on new tread, new wheels that move us to our next adventure. And you're the one on the road today, Tina. Well, coming back from being on the road with the big adventure to
Sedona, Arizona. Sue, I thought about our podcast quite a bit lately about new adventures and road trips. And yeah, I just came back from a road trip to Sedona, and that adventure opened up more adventures. And I just want to share with you so much going on. So the reason for Sedona is to support my friend who's doing retreats. And Maria will be the personal chef at these events. And so we went to go and practice what it would be like. I was a participant in this case, and Maria did all the personal chefing. And so we rented a nice Airbnb, and it worked out tremendously well. So imagine when you've been out hiking all day and you're looking at the vortex and learning about the spirituality of the place, and you come back and here's this incredibly prepared home-cooked meal made by a chef in the kitchen. It's exactly how I had envisioned this business part to go. And it worked out wonderfully well. And everybody was pleased with that. Imagine homemade fresh cooking after a full day out and doing your thing. So in the meantime, before we even left on this thing, right, we've been doing the farmers markets. And my whole plan was that it would be the way to sample our food, know who we are.
What do you mean by your farmers markets? Yours?
Oh, yeah. So
we need to inform our listeners about what it is that you're doing with because you've talked about your adventures in travel, but then you
Correct.
also have another component to your business. And so tell our listeners.
Well, I guess I'm going to have to go back. But when I met Maria, I was at a very difficult time in my life. And I had given up eating and the joy of food. And I really stopped liking to cook at all. So as my emaciated 113 pounds met Maria, and she loved to cook, I started to enjoy food again. And it was her Cuban food, which I had never had before. Have you had it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so here I am, a Spanish teacher, and I had never met a Cuban nor had Cuban food. And I just assumed it was like the same as Mexican food. And it is absolutely not Mexican food. It's I call it flavorful, non-spicy. Because Mexico, you have a lot of spices, strong spices, hot spices. And Cuban food is not, but it is flavorful. So anyway, fast forward 9 years, I've now gained 35 happy pounds because I just love her cooking so much. So when I was deciding that I no longer wanted to teach and I knew we had to make money, I really thought, what am I passionate about? Like, what are the things that have saved my soul over this time of healing from all the things I'd been through? And I thought it was food. A lot of it was food and finding good food and going to nice restaurants and presentations and all of it. So I looked at Maria one morning and I said, you know what? I really believe in your cooking, and it's your cooking that kind of brought me back from the dead. How would you like to cook for people? Because everybody that's ever had your cooking raves about it. And she's like, that's kind of a good idea. So I created a business with personal chefing. And the idea was that we would go into people's cabins because we're in a tourist area, and we would be able to cook for the tourists because the town is small. The lines are out the door. Takes 2 hours to be seated almost anywhere on a big weekend. And I thought, wouldn't it be wonderful? Like after a day of skiing, you come back and you have this incredible meal presented to you. So anyway, then the next step was, well, how do we let people know what it is we have? Because we don't have a restaurant. So that's when I went to the Chamber of Commerce. So I'm in with the chamber and I said, what if we create a free sample night? And that's when we find out, it's permitting, you got to, get in with the city. It becomes a bigger deal than personal chefing. So that's when I thought, wait a minute, I've always loved farmers markets. Like they've always made me excited. And I've always wanted to actually sell something in one. And then it occurred to me what a perfect way we could make money while introducing ourselves. So it's a win for all accounts, right? So last year, I invested in all the things to make a nice 10 by 10 tent, an elegant one, by the way. And we would wear uniforms, like we have nice, like black chefing outfits and little Panama hats to produce the Cuban theme. And it's taken off. Like we have, and even though we had not done it for very long, we already have people that have their followers. They come every week religiously to get our food. Well, um, this week I took it to another level where I now have the Cuban experience tent. So I bought another tent and I have these beautiful little wooden bistro tables. And then I put up ivy around the inside and I have a mister going so it feels humid and tropical. And I have Latin or Havana lounge music playing in the background to an artificial tree. So I'm getting this environment. And what I had hoped and what I am feeling, and I love it, is now people want to come and sit down because there's usually no place to sit, but it's this little tiny slice of Havana sitting there. And so people are coming and they're enjoying the food and we're having conversations, which is what I like to do. Is just kind of sit and mingle with the people while she's in the back slaving away. I kind of feel bad. Anyway, so then what has happened is we have now been approached by two different groups of people to do catering. And they want this whole set to be brought to their place. So it's the personal chefing, but now we've got our little tents and things. So this Friday, we're going to be doing a theater after party because we had a play going on up here. So we're going to be catering appetizers at a resort, and we're bringing our setup. And so we're working on that
That's
now.
super wonderful.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you. Thank you. And then the next level for the same thing, another lady had come, and we will be doing commercial crew has come up here, and it's showing what Big Bear is all about. So we'll be doing lunches for them over 3 days. So
Very cool. That's neat. Yeah, and the
and that's
people,
the new adventure.
oh, that is a great adventure. Wow. See, and your idea came to fruition. This was the hook, and now you've got you can move up the food chain, if you will.
Excellent, Sue. Excellent punning.
So now back to I hear Gigi.
Yes.
Oh, there she is. So did
Yes,
Gigi get
she's
to go on
there.
this adventure with you to Sedona?
Oh, this was the best part. Yes, she loved it. Anytime she can go out into the nature world and walk, she's a very happy dog. So we went on the Sedona vortex walk. And Sue, I cannot get over the beauty. You said you've been there before. This was on my bucket list to go to Sedona. It's been on there for years. And again, within my former life, the spirituality thing was very much ridiculed. So Sedona would not have been an option ever. So to be able to have this freedom to go on something that I wanted to do and see the Southwest, it's kind of like this long waiting background bucket list adventure. So tell me what your vision or experience was as you drove in for the first time.
I don't remember which one was the first time, but Sedona's on the way on a road trip from Northern California down to Phoenix area where my parents lived,
Mm.
and my sisters too. And so, the first times that you go down there, you do a road trip, you're going to go and do some things along the way. And Sedona is just gorgeous. You drive in, you're just astounded because you're in a town, and it's a city, but it feels like a town
Yes.
in the just surrounded by all these beautiful rock formations. It's just incredible. Beautiful red sedimentary rock. Looks like the gods have played
Yes.
silly sand with it and just dropped and dribbled
Yes.
bits of sand to make this beautiful stuff. Um, yeah, it was amazing. And I remember I went there. maybe it was the first time, but maybe not. Um, my sister went, and she had her first child. I went with my little girl, and my brother went with his little boy, all of us with our first child, and
Oh,
mom and dad, and we were in a pool. We were in like a cheap hotel, like a Days Inn, and but it had a nice pool, and you're in the pool with these little kids and your siblings that you never see, and
wow.
you're looking around, and all these just these beautiful mountain formations are there. So that's one of my first memories of Sedona.
And all I could say was, "Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God." It just got better and better the closer and closer we got. And it's not just the red, it's the green that surprises me. It's this contrasting green. So you have all the greenery coming out of the red with the sharp blue sky, with the white clouds. It magnificent. The contrast of all the colors is what astounded me.
Well, it's kinda interesting now I think about it, it was we never got to see siblings. My brother lives off in Wisconsin, my sister's down there in Arizona, I'm in California. You know, another time we got to meet up there too when we were all older and all the well, not all the kids, my sister still had a couple little ones to come later. But, we had a bunch of kids, and they were, 10-year-olds and young teens, and it was
Oh my
snowing,
God.
so that's a different
Oh,
version. It had to have been at winter break, and, um,
wow.
there was snow on the ground, the kids were running around in their jeans, throwing snow at each other. It was fun, and we have this I'm big on photography, so I set up a camera, and I took a family picture of us with the red. We're up on the top near the airport, and you can get this vista of the mountains and the city down below. Yeah, good memories, good stuff.
And one of the things I appreciate the most was the buildings did not ruin the environment.
Yeah,
They must have strong
they
codes as
do.
to what can blend in, and it was fantastic. There was no white, hot pink. All of them were earth tones. Even the architecture kind of blended in because many places you go, it's the human buildings that have destroyed it. And in this case, it wasn't destroyed. It'd be best if there was nothing. But if there had to be something, this did not take away from the beauty. You didn't go, ouch, when you looked at the homes. You just thought, wow, these are rather magnificent the way they kind of blend in.
Tell me more about what you ended up doing. You said you went on a hike to go see the vortex because there are, I think, aren't there's like 7 vortexes, and each one has a different meaning
Mm.
and a different energy that's supposed. These vortexes are vortexes of energy, and they're supposed to give a different um, energy or feeling out to help you resolve different things with your life. I guess I don't know.
Well, I'll be quite honest. I have no idea which one I went to. I could tell you by driving there. I could repeat that. Uh, the the retreat was basically kind of it's called self care for the sensitive soul, and really the idea it was to just take your nervous system and put it into a place of peace and calm. So we did peace and calm things, and the hike was just a slow meandering where we could just take pictures, and we did get to the top of the vortex. And this reminded me of Sly Park when we were sixth grade teachers, but she gave us little baggies and said things that really strike you along the way, put in nature things, put in the bag, and we'll bring it to the top. And when we were at the top, we had a little circle area with stones around it, and we placed all of our objects and kind of created a nature collage, a mandala really together. And that was beautiful. And then we really pretty much sat in silence and just kind of took it all in. And I'll be honest, I broke into tears. And I'm about to break in again because I keep thinking that I never would have experienced this beauty had I been committed to my former life and enduring it. And also to be with people full of emotion who could see the beauty of it all, who were as moved by it as myself. not just the group I was with for the retreat, but also the people around. I mean, we were all in awe. And it wasn't this spirituality in the way that we're all like, humming and kumbayaing. But it was just this to be with people who are in awe and sitting in the beauty of it all. It's just a nice thing when you share this, even without talking, when you can share that feeling with other people.
It's true. We don't, in our modern age, we don't spend enough time out in
Oh,
nature, in the wilderness. We don't spend enough time sitting silently, being quiet, feeling ourselves, our body, the energy of the earth around us, the wind, the sun, the coolness of the rock, whatever it is, all those sacred things that human beings
yeah.
have been doing since the beginning of time. We kind of have desensitized ourselves to that, especially now, I would say, with all of our electronics. We're always on our phones and the internet and everything else. And it, I think it's important to take that moment and just slow way down and feel your humanness.
Exactly. And I was brought back to childhood. As we were finishing up our hike, I noticed all these ants, and they had this big whitish clump of whatever it was. And they were trying to move. I mean, ants have always fascinated me, and that's what brought me back to childhood, because I remember I spent so much time, because I live in Big Bear, which is out in the mountains, and I spent a lot of time looking at the way nature interacted. And ants were one of my favorite bugs because they work together as a team, which is my value. And as a team, they can lift and move the biggest things. These little itty bitty beings become strong when they're united. And that's kind of like a metaphor for how I feel we should work as humans. And so I'm watching them move this big blobby thing, and I took the time to just squat and enjoy the ants. And I know that again is what you were just saying. I'm supporting it. We don't have that space in our modern world to just take in the majesticness of an ant, for instance.
So I'm not sure which hike you went on, but I went on the only vortex that I've actually stood at, because the vortex is this place that's supposed to have this source of energy, and this one I remember was something to do with magnetism, and it's supposed to make you feel peaceful. I remember going to the vortex, the one that was by the airport. It's called, I think there's a name. I looked it up. Yeah, it's the Airport Mesa Sedona Vortex. And that was the one that I remember the hike we did with my family. But I know that I've gone back numerous times with different people, so I don't remember when it was. But I know I was with my daughter, and we were hiking up to the vortex. She loved hiking and walking as a little kid. This was like just a magical place for her. And we were up there, and there's this boy that was about her age. He must have been like 10, maybe 12, because I mean he's felt like a student age, one of my elementary school student kids. And he was a native boy who was selling these juniper berry necklaces. He said that
Oh,
he had that he made them. So like they sit around at night and they just make these necklaces, and it was a long strand of beads. And um, so it's supposed to have these spiritual connotations to it. It's supposed to be like a connection between um, the earth, plants, and humans, and bring you peace and safety. And I'm like, okay, so I don't know if this kid's a great salesman or whether, but it didn't feel that way. That little bit of that came into my thinking about it. But then I'm like, this is just a kid like my students back home. And he's saying he sits around with grandma making these
wow.
necklaces. So that like there's a juniper bead and a seed and then a bead and then a juniper seed and a bead. And so they
Wow.
had to collect these juniper seeds, and they're dried and smoked, and then you have to put a hole through them. So there's effort. I mean, it's kind of simple thing to do, but still, just just making it is a profound thing that and you're spending time with your grandma doing this thing to make a living. It was pretty amazing. So that was that was cool for me to experience. So did you have any encounter with any native people? And by native I mean Native American people? It's interesting because today in that area, it's a mixture of native peoples who have arrived. It used to in the ancient days, it was the Sanagua Indians, but and they were they had cliff homes.
Cliff
Yeah, and
dwellers.
yeah, they were
Oh,
cliff dwellers. They made baskets and pottery and jewelry, and it was a big trade center. And it still is a trade center of the native peoples. There's all kinds of people there today: the Hopi, the Navajo, the Tonto Apache, the Yavapai. They're to me that is one of the most intriguing parts of going to Sedona. I love the jewelry, the turquoise jewelry, and it's so beautiful and crafted, and all the pieces have the signatures of the artist who did it, and the artist will talk about the type of stone, what the stone's quality and characteristics are, and then the design. It's really interesting when you wear a piece of jewelry from that area, and you're talking with somebody. You're looking at their jewelry. They'll look at it and recognize the artist, and you're like, oh
oh,
my
wow.
gosh! I mean, this truly is a form of communication that is understood in that area.
That goes beyond the borders.
It's amazing. I remember one year we were there, and my mom bought me a little bracelet, and yeah, that holds special memories for me too. So, did you have any experience with the native people, uh,
I think
or native culture, I should say?
this is the thing. We got done working at a farmer's market Thursday, did all of our shopping, drove there Friday, didn't get there till the evening. So the first night we went out, and I barely saw anything except this cute little plaza where we dined in. And then the next day we did a lot in the house that we were renting, which had a view of the mountain. So we did aromatherapy, and we did chakra readings and balancing. And then for the hike, and then the next morning was to pack up and leave.
Yeah, so
So
you
there was not enough
retreated.
time.
Yeah, you retreated. You didn't. You weren't there as
No.
a tourist. You were there as a retreatist.
But one thing from this experience that I take with me, I think that to really do a retreat, I think it takes days. And I realize that a weekend is very rushed because you have to drive in, drive out, and there isn't enough time to balance out the drive. Like for us, it took 8 hours each way. And that, I think, I'm going to go on to a side show over here. I think that we underestimate in our culture that's fast paced and literally driven how much mental, physical effort it actually takes to drive a car. We minimize it because we say, well, we're sitting, we're not jogging. But you have to be alert. You have to be aware. You are not on vacation with your brain. It's going. It's even like a background computer program that's going all the time. And I think that we underestimate how much space that takes. So I don't think that I had enough time to retreat. So that's what I take from this thing, that if you are going to go somewhere as beautiful as Sedona, every day should incorporate hours outside. And then you should have a few days to really detox from life. So,
Well, absolutely. I mean, remember, I'm talking about memories that I had before cell phone times. And,
oh, right.
life was very different then. I mean, you left something, you didn't carry a device in your pocket or worry about if you've
Right.
got Wi Fi, and you were just present. And that's what,
Yes.
is missing a lot from vacations, but also from, really special places like Sedona nowadays where, you don't have, you disconnect from that world of that intensity. And I think for us, we've got to experience a life before that technology,
You're
and
right.
kids today haven't experienced that. I mean, can you imagine? You're on a hike in Sedona, and a kid pulls out
Oh,
their tablet and wants to sit there and play a game because they're
no,
addicted to the game.
no. I think I would cry.
Well, and
I
they're
wouldn't want to see that. I wouldn't want to witness
well,
that. And I'm glad I did not.
and it's just about like parenting. Remember, I mean, it's so hard to be a parent, and it's so hard to be a parent in this
Yeah.
new modern reality. I can't even say that I could understand it all. But I didn't allow my daughter, as technology became a thing, to have it all, and it was always very. I was careful about letting her use it, and it goes back to how my parents were with us when they you know, it, there didn't used to be TV, and then there was TV, and it was black and white, and it was only certain times. But they didn't want us watching certain programs or TV
Hmm.
shows, and so it's just about preserving childhood, I think, and preserving being human in your body. Yeah,
I think my biggest, and I've toyed with this idea, and I wonder if you have too. I wanted to take 50,000 pictures on my hike. Like I was wanting to capture all of Sedona on my phone. And it's funny because I rarely go back and look at pictures, but I was in awe. So I had to stop every, few feet. And the problem with that is your phone is your everything. So then you get a text and then it kind of ruins from the thing because then you have this nagging pressure like I need to return this text or I'll get to that in a minute. I almost feel like I need to buy a camera again so that when I'm on these excursions, I can just focus on the picture because I really don't want to have all the like my email notifications going and I know you can shut all those down, but I don't want to do that either. I just want to get out and go and take a picture. Does that make sense?
yeah.
But I don't know if you felt that way being that you love photography. Do you have your own camera or do you use your phone?
That's been a whole progress. I've had lots of cameras in my life, and now when I travel, I'm trying to be more present and in the moment, and I'm
Mm.
trusting because I've got the top of the line camera in my phone, so I'm trusting that I'll be able to capture the images that I want, but to try to be more present, and so
Yes.
I do I do allow myself to just take pictures like galore. And then there's times I'll say, okay, I'm going to be in the moment. I'm not going to take pictures. And I find myself wanting to, and then just being okay not, and then also regretting not taking
Right.
pictures. But so I experiment with that feeling. Like I don't. There are times when I purposefully go out take pictures, and other times where if something um, image that I want to capture speaks to me, then I'll pull my camera out and I'll do it. Yeah.
And again, that's something that is different from what we experienced before. We had the phone as the phone, the
Right.
computer is the computer, the
Right.
camera is the camera. And now that everything is all in one, it's hard. It takes a lot of self discipline to break it to yourself to say, I will not take pictures at this time, which I catch myself doing too. But it's not easy, especially when you're dinged or it flashes across your screen.
So I'd like to we're let's wrap up with some general feelings, and I'm going to give you about this road trip. I mean, your trip was different than what my trips have been about, but I would recommend when you go back, because it sounds to me like you're going to at some point,
Mm, I'd love it.
to go to Slide Rock State Park. It's right there. I have one of my most fabulous memories there with
Mm.
my daughter and my sister and her kids. It's a beautiful park where the you can get in the water, and it's ankle less than ankle deep. It's just running across like little mini waterfalls, and you can sit in it. It can go deeper than like your shin or whatever. You can go swimming full on, but it's called Slide Rock because you slide on these rocks, and it's an amazing, beautiful experience. So I would recommend that.
Thank you.
Horse riding, I've done that out there. That's
Oh,
so fun. The Jeep tours, which are like you've got I went on a Jeep tour before. It was the pink Jeep tour, which is the big thing
Yes,
now.
I just saw
But I
that.
went
It
on
was
it.
so funny.
It's not pink. It was just a regular one. But and then we kind of went on our own Jeep tour without even meaning to. We were in our minivan, and somehow we got on a road. This is again before GPS and all that stuff. We got on a road that turned to be gravel, and then but it was on the map. And then it was on the edge of a mountain, and it's gravel, and it's like, oh my God. It was the most
Scary.
terrifying drive,
Yeah,
but
that
we
sounds
made it
terrible.
down.
In
Yeah,
a minivan.
without tumbling down. That was terrifying.
You know what you really brought to me, just the loveliness of family, that you had these family reunions. And, I think that's been interesting in my world, being an only child. So you have these great memories with kids getting to play together, and I have so few of those. But what a magical place to have had these experiences,
Yeah. It
Yeah.
really was, and it wasn't like we planned it per se. It just kind of happened, and it hasn't happened since they were young kids,
Oh,
So getting together as family is special, and I love that you brought this up because it helped me remember those times and how many times we went there was pretty cool. Yeah, it's a magical place.
and I was just thinking, if one of the topics that we had at our retreat was, wouldn't it be wonderful if, and then you put in your thing. And my thing would be, wouldn't it be wonderful if I could meet both my daughters in Sedona and spend time there?
Yeah. Well, I think you should make that happen.
Yeah.
That wraps up this episode of Retired. Thanks for listening.
Until next week, please feel free to lend your feedback or ask questions by emailing us at retiredpodcastnewtread@gmail.com. You're invited to follow us on Facebook at Retired Podcast New Tread. Check the show notes for links and contact information.
Retired is co-hosted by Sue Britz and Tina Lokkbakk. It is produced, directed, and edited by me, Sue Britz. Music and graphics are by me too. Please click to subscribe so that you won't miss your chance to join
our
retired road trip.